explain a project that I'm working on that I'm calling the Looseplex project, and it's derived from an essay I read by Jericho about the duplex, in which he was talking about cutting up the lines of his poems, old poems, into lines of 9 and 11 syllables and making them into sort of sonnets that were sort of ghazals and also blues, and they had a lot of echoing lines. And I really loved the idea of cutting up my old poems. I mean, there's a real thrill in just actually physically taking the scissors and cutting up a poem that has bedeviled you for years, never been quite right, and saving some lines from it and then throwing the poem out. So I started doing that, and I realized I couldn't really quite do what he was doing. I couldn't do that kind of echoey thing. I wanted to just use lines from my poems. And also, when I actually printed out the poems and started cutting up the lines, well, that wasted a lot of paper. So what I began doing after that initial effort was I just started selecting the lines and putting them into one long document online, and then I have just a document of lines that I want to use, and then I cut them up and put them in this dish. And once I have the dish kind of overflowing with lines, I put them on these little boards that are sort of reverse sticky notepads. So I have tons and tons of lines all over my office, and then I pick them, sort of the ones that sort of are talking to me, and I pick them out and I kind of play with them on this short little board, and they turn into a sonnet. And I've made about 16 of these now, and I'm planning to do more. And the process itself is just so much fun. And the project, I feel like, does something kind of really cool with the way the lines juxtapose against each other. They don't really make exact literal sense, but they're very imagistic. And I'm going to read just a couple, so you get an idea of what the result of the process seems like, which this is one of the really early ones that I called Tsunami. It was morning for days afterward. The telephone poles and wires whipped and sparked. Gold looked like brass, and bones poked up through plowed fields. You can fall a long way in sunlight. The white balcony, the pine needle shadow, impossibly doomed and graceful and obsessed. Is the psyche bound to the body? Icing of debris over orderly fields, barnacles on memory's exposed pier. The way pain fades to the memory of pain, slicing the orange flesh of the papaya. Oh, life, life, you are such a muchness. I searched for more footage of the massive waves. It was morning for days afterward. So in Jericho Brown's work, the first line always echoes the last line. So some of mine do that and some of mine don't. Really, my only rules are that the lines have to be 9 or 11 syllables. They each seem to have a question in them. That's about it. And they're 14 lines, so they're a sonnet by some weird definition. And then last year, the project that I was having so much fun with, I was reading Carlo Rovelli's 7 Brief Lessons in Physics. And he's such a gorgeous writer, and they really inspired me to do a bunch of prose poems. And then I listened to him read his book, Reality is Not What It Seems, online. And then I made this year this Looseplex based on that topic. Reality is Not What It Seems is the title. Women standing with car keys in hand, chatting. The scab made by your blood to protect locks, keys, flying cows, rescues, escapes. Small fingers of weed that uncurl in the sun. The way a stone in your fist takes on warmth. The way a net hauled by a slow winch draws in. In Lucknow, clothing steams on the line. It's already too late to grow old. Birds in their invisible chains, or a turning away, a turning towards. Would the kudzu grow right across your body? The eye of the potato opens to this moment, this thing our ideas are in. So that's the Looseplex project, and I'm including some of these in my new book, and it's really fun.
Who's the picture of?
Oh, the picture's my friend Nancy Tully, who died this spring, and she's always just been a real presence in my life, very straightforward, no nonsense, so she's overseeing the project. Thanks for asking.